Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Please let us know if you can see us and hear us. So, Rahul and Parul, can you say hi to the audience so that they can just confirm in the chat if we are all audible and visible to them?
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Guys, if you can just type yes in the chat box, तो हमें idea लग जाएगा if we are audible and visible, तो हम फिर तभी शुरू करेंगे. And meanwhile, if you can just write hi in the chat box, would like to see कौन कौन आ गया है इस live session में. Also, we have a lot of people joining in. Can you just type yes or hi? Okay, I'm seeing some responses, so that means कि हम visible भी हैं और audible भी हैं. Guys, thank you so much for coming to this live session. थोड़ा सा context set कर देती हूँ, and this is one of those live sessions जहाँ मेरे को बिल्कुल भी nervousness feel नहीं हो रही है. Thank God for the very first time, and उसका एक कारण भी है, because Vedica Scholars and Parul, this is also a context for you. I have been to the campus, Delhi में. I have talked to Rahul, and I'm sure Pratibha is also watching. I've also met Anuradha ma'am, and it's been a pleasure talking to the entire team. क्योंकि generally क्या होता है when you collaborate with these schools or brands, तो इतना वो वैसा वाला relationship नहीं build हो पाता है. But with Vedica Scholars, it's been like a very honest and true ऐसा association हुआ है कि I already feel like family. सो आई जस्ट जेन्युइनली वांट कि बहुत सारे एस्पिरेंट्स ये लाइव सेशन देख रहे होंगे एंड देन हैव सो मेनी क्वेश्चंस इन माइंड ना. जैसे आप इतना पैसा इन्वेस्ट करते हो एमबीए में, सो यू हैव एवरी राइट टू नो वेयर यू आर गोइंग एंड यू नो व्हाट यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट आउट ऑफ इट. So that is why I'm very, very happy that you both have joined this live session. And to give these guys a context कि हमारे guests कौन हैं, so we have Parul, who is a graduate of Vedica Scholars. She was a recent graduate, in fact. She's from the batch of 2023, if I'm not wrong. And Parul graduated in the Jan, like recently in Jan, and she's been working in the retail and logistics department of Decathlon, retail logistician, right? And Rahul here is the associate director of admissions and marketing. He is that guy who's going to answer all your questions related to admission secrets. So make sure कि आप उन questions को ready रखो. And both of them are like truly gems in the nature कि before this live and even the conversations that I had with them, I can assure you कि आपके कुछ भी doubts होंगे ना related to Vedica Scholars, they are going to address all of them. So thank you so much guys for tuning in. I'm genuinely grateful for this live session and your presence here.
Thanks, Shweta, for having us. Vedica is relatively new as compared to traditional MBA programs. So, a platform like this really helps spread the message and get to more and more people who can benefit from the program.
Thank you, Shweta. It's a pleasure to be on this platform. It's actually one full cycle complete because even I got to know about Vedica from your channel and other channels as well. So it's like coming back and then spreading the voice of Vedica to all across potential women. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that you saw the video on the channel. So this is the third year that I'm working with Vedica Scholars. First year में जब मैं face दिखा के भी videos नहीं बनाती थी, तब से I've been partnering with them. So मुझे honestly बहुत अच्छा लगता है the vision. And I would in fact want to start off with your point, Parul, जो आप बोल रहे थे कि you saw the video. So I want you to go back to that time so that सबको एक context मिल जाए, you know, कि where were you a few years ago? How did you think of this MBA journey and exactly क्या हुआ था उस scene पे? Meanwhile, guys, if you have any questions, put them in the chat box. I'll keep looking at it. तो मैं side by side questions पूछती रहूंगी basis whatever you type in here. So Parul, over to you.
Yeah, so I did my graduation in Delhi University in BCom Honors, and after that, I gave about 3 attempts in the civil services. Now, this was the time when my third attempt in the civil services couldn't work out the way I wanted, and I desperately wanted to now pivot my career, start working, or maybe on the sideline do some master's courses because graduation is anyway not considered enough. So I was looking for some options if I can enroll into some master's program, and that's how when I was searching, some videos and information about Vedica popped up. Because it was so new, I was not aware about it at all. And the moment I got to know about Vedika, what kind of vision it has, the curriculum, the benefits it offers to scholars like me, and to be honest, since I was physically and mentally very exhausted with the civil services preparation, I couldn't afford any more time to prepare for CAT now. So Vedika offered me the best of the opportunity to come prove my potential in the way I've been through in all my academic years without giving CAT, but they considered other credibilities that I had on my resume and my academic qualifications. And that's how I just went into the application procedure and got into the batch of 2023, being the last scholar there.
So, like to understand it better, you are mentioning कि you graduated from Delhi University, you pursued BCom honors. तो उसके बाद did you directly go to Vedika or you like you mentioned preparing for civil services? So I'm trying to understand that before Vedika and after graduating, what happened in between?
Yeah, so these were the COVID years, the 3 years when we had lockdowns on and off. So these 3 years, I was giving my civil services attempt. I was preparing for it. Even from my graduation days only, I was preparing. The 3 attempt years was like proper 12 to 14 hours of study that the aspirant goes through. I was being in that. I did not have any plan B because of my mental ambition that was just looking at civil services. So that was my plan. So no plan B as such. But when it couldn't work out, and ideally, I'm a believer that one should not have more than some standard career gap in their resume. It's not good. Every dream, no matter how passionate it is, should have some expiry date because then you have to move on and you have to figure out some other way or route to reach your dream. So after the third attempt, I figured out that, okay, if it's not working, I will bounce back to whatever reality offers me and I look for some other, maybe a job or a master's program. So when I was searching for some options, Vedika popped up on my research and was such a great opportunity.
So Parul, did you prepare for CAT or any other management entrance exam or no?
No, I did. I was solely doing civil services and I did not have. If I had gone to some abroad programs, I might have. But to be honest, at that point, I really wanted some course that would offer me not the competitive cream of some exhaustive procedure or a journey that would give me an entrance, but something that really looks at my potential. And Vedika did just that.
Got it. Thank you so much for that background because अब पूरा discussion थोड़ा सा easy हो जाएगा for someone to relate to or understand. जैसे कुछ दिन पहले there was a candidate who was talking to me and she was mentioning कि उनका 4 years का gap हो चुका है because of civil services preparation and she wasn't sure if that gap is going to cost her the admission into any of the programs. So I think this is really going to be helpful to people who have a very similar journey. Rahul, I'll have a follow-up here based on what Parul has mentioned. जैसे उन्होंने बोला कि उन्होंने कैट एग्जाम की तैयारी नहीं की थी. नाउ देयर बी मेनी एप्लीकेंट्स जिन्होंने एग्जाम्स की तैयारी की भी होगी एंड देयर बी एस्पिरेंट्स हु वोंट इवन बी अवेयर कि वेदिका स्कॉलर्स में आपको कोई एंट्रेंस टेस्ट स्पेसिफिकली नहीं चाहिए. वो तो अच्छा है बट ऐसी कोई मैंडेटरी कंडीशन नहीं है. सो कुड यू हेल्प अस go through that admission criteria then, because अगर कोई entrance exam नहीं है then how are you going to evaluate कि किसको select करना किसको नहीं करना?
That's a question that I get 10 times a day कि वेदिका entrance test क्यों नहीं लेता, CAT क्यों नहीं लेता? And the thing is that we have this philosophy of potential over performance. What that means is that in the Indian education system, तुम्हारा एक दिन बोर्ड में एग्जाम में अच्छा नहीं हुआ मार्क्स, you don't get a good marks in 10th or 12th, you're judged for that through your life. Like we've all seen that, whether it's undergrad admission, postgrad admission, वो 10th के marks अभी भी bother करते हैं. We wanted to change that. We feel like what you've done before, what your past performance doesn't determine if you can be successful in your career or not. So we have a strict philosophy where we're not looking at any academic scores that you've got before. We're not looking at any entrance test scores. You're interviewed at Vedica purely on basis of your online application form and personal interview. What we really want to do in that personal interview is hear your story. There are often people who've missed, who've not scored well in a particular subject. Maths mein achhe nahi hai. And we feel like they don't get into good business schools because of that. We want to change that. We want to see you for who you are and what you bring to the table than just your academic scores. So no CAT exam. The interview process is very simple. You apply online, in which we will take in your basic details, but also a couple of essay questions to assess the way you think. Further to that, we shortlist applications and you move to the personal interview round, which is taken by the management, where we are really looking for women who want to build a successful career. If you have the drive to do well, if you have the ambition to become a leader in the future and you're committed to your growth, then you will get into Vedika. We're not here to reject people. We're looking for ways to get you in the program so that you're able to benefit from what we have to offer.
So, if I understand it correctly, in the form that you ask people to fill up, do you not ask about their academics or any exams that they took or their percentiles? Or is it that they
So
input
we
those
hmm.
criteria, but you don't evaluate them on those parameters?
So we ask for all those details. You will be required to fill in your marks in 10th, 12th, your college, but we will not reject a candidate based on any marks. We don't have a cutoff to, so to say. There's no cutoff कि
Got it.
आपके अगर 60 से कम है तो आप application stage पे reject हो जाओगे. We will still interview you. We'll do the personal interview and then assess really if you will be a good fit for the program.
Got it. Understood. So primarily, first shortlisting criteria mein, it is all about the essay questions and how you answer them.
Right.
Got it. So, Parul, do you remember what those essay questions were during your time so that those who are going to fill up the form can get some idea, if you remember?
The form questions you're asking or the interview questions?
Like either of them, because it'll give them an idea as to what was being evaluated.
So in the essay question, the application form, there was one question. If you would choose one person, who would it be? And the options were Greta Thunberg and Elon Musk or Elon Musk. So basically, it was kind of a psychometric question only. Like to me, what I perceived of that question was, do you consider sustainability or planet more important, or innovation and space tourism or other things more important? And that's the candidate's way of answering. And I must say that there's no right or wrong answer in this. It's just what do you want to choose and how can you articulate and justify your choice. That's the main crux of that question and these kinds of questions, I would say. Also in the interview, I was asked this question. Actually, it was an insight on my personality only throughout the conversation that the person had. So they asked me, Parul, why do I see or why do I sense this kind of hunger in you that you now can't wait to start your career? I sense that there's some nervousness, some regret, also disappointment, but there's also a hunger that is bothering you now that you can't hide. And I was so amazed by this that within 10 minutes, how can you know my personality and what I'm trying to hide right there? Because since I gave you the context, I just came out of a disappointment from civil services. So the confidence was somewhere lacking. But then I really was high spirited that now I have to bounce back and have to start my career. And this person, being so professional, so experienced, she used to handle some placements of B schools earlier in her career that I got to know later. And that's how she just analyzed my personality and she wanted me to clarify what I really have as my spirit and intent behind entering Vedika. So these are the questions that just come up from the conversations, and that's how they evaluate the candidate.
I was actually wondering that. So when Rahul said ना कि एक last moment या एक day के basis पे evaluate कैसे कर सकते हैं किसी को किसी भी entrance exam या board exam के लिए. So I was wondering कि वो 30 minutes के interview में भी evaluate करना तो difficult रहता होगा. But now that you're mentioning it also, like there are a lot of जिनको हम बोलते थे ना visible और non visible cues होते हैं बहुत सारे जो पता लग जाते हैं that I think these exams can't really test. So
Yes.
that way, I think it makes a lot of difference. And Rahul,
Just
these
to Shweta, just to add to that, we feel like interviews are meant to be really scary. Like students turn up for interviews and वो डर रहे होते हैं कि क्या पूछ लेंगे. And in fact, I have seen Quora where you'll see some of the premier colleges, they're putting out questions ki this was my interview process, and it sounds terrifying where they're trying to ask them questions from all over the place. So at Vedika, we are trying to really ask them sorry. So we try to build a kind space for students to be confident and relax in an interview. So how will we be able to assess Parul for who she is if she's nervous in the interview? So that philosophy that if somebody is coming for an interview, you have to make sure that they're relaxed and they're trying to have a conversation with you. So we are really able to see you for who you are.
So you just want to know someone's story rather than be asking them कि जीके में क्या हो रहा है या देश विदेश में क्या हो रहा है.
हम जीके वाले भी पूछ लेंगे questions, but first we want to really understand who they are.
Yeah.
Got it. And like यहाँ पे एक question है मेरा राहुल, and then I'm going to pick up some questions from the chat box also. Imagine someone had like a bad time in their past. Kuch regrets, like Parul was mentioning. Sometimes people try for a particular, exam, या फिर के they take gaps because of certain issues. कई लोगों का उतना अच्छा लेट्स से गाइडेंस नहीं होता है उनके एरिया में, उनकी फैमिलीज में, तो उनको नहीं पता होता अबाउट अपॉर्चुनिटीज एंड देन दे टर्न अप. So there must be a lot of differentiation in people as to the kinds of backgrounds they come from. कौन कितना अच्छा है communication में, and like you were mentioning mathematics में भी. So then how is it a level playing field for them when an interview takes place? How would you ensure कि उनका जो baggage वो लेके आ रहे हैं वो affect ना करे उस interview में उनको?
I think that's where the drive that we talk about, ki, is that person hungry to change what has happened with them before? Are they now ready to shift gears and work on their growth? So that's one key aspect to evaluate someone who's coming for an interview. And what we talk about Vedica is really delta growth. So everyone at Vedica is from different backgrounds. We in fact boast of a very diverse classroom. एक किसी ने लॉ पढ़ा है वो भी आ रहा है वेदिका, किसी ने बायोटेक्नोलॉजी पढ़ा है वो भी आ रहा है. सो देयर इज अ वेरी diverse group that comes here. But what we are really looking at is how can they improve on a personal level. This is also our motto, being my better self every day. It's written big in big fonts in our library. It's something that we try and inculcate in the mindsets of our students ki you need to compete against yourself and be a better version. So at interview level, we look at 2-3 things that you should be able to, you should have the base intellect to be able to absorb the program. Once you can manage that, once we assess that you can manage that, then we know that Vedica will benefit you. And we are also simultaneously looking at what are your career goals and how can Vedica help you achieve them. So there are a lot of students from different backgrounds. Someone who has work ex, they want to pivot their career to a different industry. Someone who's a fresher, they want to start with a good brand. So I think all of them can achieve their career goals at Vedica. So this is what we're trying to assess during the interview कि इनके career को हम कैसे help कर सकते हैं. There are cases where students are coming with a mindset, say I want to get into data science. So I'm like, sorry boss, you won't be able to get that kind of a role from Vedica. So I can tell them what they can gain from this experience, but if it doesn't align with what we do and what they want, then we tell them that this is not the best option for them.
Got it. So you are as transparent with them as you would want them to be. So अगर आप उनको वो ऑफर कर सकते हो जो वो चाहते हैं, only then they should join, because आजकल ये देखने को मिल रहा है, बहुत सारे बी स्कूल्स भी इस चीज का कंप्लेन करते हैं that when students join they have unrealistic expectations, या फिर कि they feel कि अब बी स्कूल में आ गए, अब उनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हमारी प्लेसमेंट लगवाओ. Sometimes having that kind of clarity कि आप कहाँ जा रहे हो और क्यों जा रहे हो is very important. So it's good that you kind of filter the candidates out there उसी basis पे. So
Yeah,
I think makes a lot of sense. Parul, someone is complimenting you by saying that a lot of people have gone through similar journeys in their lives. So they are very inspired by your journey. I would also want to ask this question now to both of you, and especially to you, Parul, because you've studied there. This question is that is the MBA curriculum the same in Vedica Scholars as it is in, let's say, the other B schools?
I would say it is quite similar, but even more value addition is there in Vedica, which you don't find in any other business schools. So, in terms of management courses, yes, we do have all the four specifications that people go for. It's a general MBA, so what we try to cover is different subjects and going into little bit of depth of all the subjects, and then whatever scholar wants to find their own path, someone wants to do a specialization in HR, they can go and dig deeper into that subject themselves also. But apart from the management subject, we do have the liberal arts courses, which actually I would say is such a value addition to your perspective, to your managerial skills. which right now I can say that it's so useful and comes handy when you do start your job. Also, the communication aspect, it is quite emphasized a lot in terms of verbal, non-verbal, written, every kind of communication is being emphasized. And then is the personal growth track. So people, the girls, women, everyone comes from so much different backgrounds. They have some kind of baggages also, and some aspirations for future. Where do you want to see yourself at the end of the 18 months journey? So that kind of personal growth also happens, be it the reading sessions or the debating sessions, or any kind of quizzes, or be it facing the camera and making some content of your own. These kinds of things are also emphasized, so they can find out their own personal growth and wherever they want to achieve and go through. So I would say yes, very similar, but value addition is like the USP of Vedica.
So मैनेजमेंट ट्रैक तो आई थिंक आई एम एबल टू रिलेट बिकॉज ये कोर्सेज तो हमने पढ़े थे बट आई हैव नो क्लू व्हाट लिबरल आर्ट्स या फिर की पर्सनल ग्रोथ में होता है बिकॉज व्हाट यू आर मेंशनिंग सर्टेनली इज लेट्स से अ पार्ट ऑफ द मैनेजमेंट इंस्टीट्यूट्स थोड़े बहुत एक्सटेंड पे कि आप प्रेजेंटेशन देते हो क्लासेस में या ये वो बट वुड लव टू डीप डाइव इनटू दिस एंड राहुल यू कैन आल्सो शेड सम लाइट ऑन this philosophy about including liberal arts into the program या फिर कि इवन फोकसिंग ऑन पर्सनल ग्रोथ कि ये विजन कहाँ से आया एंड आई नो कि अनुराधा मैम ने जब सेशन लिया था शी एम्फसाइज्ड ऑन लिबरल आर्ट्स सो मच सो हाउ डज इट रियली मेक दैट डिफरेंस एंड शायद बहुत सारे लोगों को वो आइडिया भी नहीं होगा कि लिबरल आर्ट्स है क्या सो इफ यू कुड जस्ट एड्रेस दिस पॉइंट
Yeah, should I go first? So when Pramath and Anuradha was starting the program, they wanted to build a course that helps women sustain jobs. And when they were drafting the curriculum, they realized that along with management, we need to have something like personal growth that can help women find their confidence before they enter the workforce. So that they're prepared for the kind of biases that women face at the workforce. So that's where the personal growth track came in. When they spoke to recruiters, very senior recruiters, they said that one of the gaps in MBA grads is they might be from the best of the schools, but their communication is not great. So instead of a module or two on communication, we built out an entire curriculum on communication courses that they go through for these 18 months. And that too in a personalized manner, where there are a lot of one-on-one sessions to give feedback to people on their communication. Right. So liberal arts is what really gives you the perspective to solve business problems in this contemporary world. You know, uh, business problems are not that they can't be solved in isolation anymore, just with management practice. So in liberal, as part of liberal arts, you will study courses in psychology, sociology, law, public policy. So an understanding of the world around you gives you a greater perspective on how to really solve business problems. And Parul can vouch for it. Some of the courses that she would have gone through, you need to understand sociological, economical, and cultural aspects of a business to solve a problem. For example, in today's world, if someone says, "I want to start like a brand which is into an FMCG brand, a startup. So which city should I start it in?" So there's so many perspectives that you have to look at from socio-cultural aspects to be able to come up with an answer, right? So liberal arts does give you that depth. And one more thing is that in today's world, if you sit in a meeting room, it's not just work or business that will be discussed. So having an opinion of the world around you with some depth, I think is important to be able to build a network, build relations, and operate in the business world successfully.
Got it. Makes sense. There is another question about gap years, which are taken for preparation. So in Parul's case, she was preparing for UPSC, like civil services की preparation थी. But let's say Rahul, someone is coming for an interview who has gaps because of CAT exam की preparation के लिए, or maybe someone just took a gap to figure things out. They didn't do anything during that time. So then, in an interview, what would you really ask them, or what would be your intent of asking any question to a person who has gap years?
So we do not judge profiles with gap years. They've taken a pause to really figure out what they want to do. Maybe they wanted to pursue something and it didn't work out. So we do want to give them a second chance. But we understand that during placements, they will be asked this question. We at Vedica feel like it can be answered. It doesn't matter that they've taken a gap. but what are the lessons that they've learned from that gap is important. And how do they weave that story? What has that period added to you? So if I'm interviewing a candidate and they've taken a 2 year or a 3 year gap, I want to understand that what triggered them to then move away from that decision and move on, because that also needs a lot of resilience. So it shows character if somebody has gone through that gap year and they're confident enough to now say ki I want to do an MBA, I want to change things for me. So it
Correct.
does say something about their character, right? So it's about giving them a chance, and as long as they're able to explain what they did in that period, what was the thought process behind going for that field, for that gap, and how did they come out of it, I think that answer really changes everything.
Parul, were you asked this question during your interview?
So yeah, I would say they kind of evaluated in a sense that the scholar was not completely idle. Even if it was a gap year, were you using it for something? So let's say when I mentioned that I was preparing for civil services and now it couldn't work and that's why I'm looking for an MBA. They said, okay, if you prepared so hard for civil services and it was your first passion, you really wanted to crack it, give me an example where the public policy and management overlaps. And that at that very moment, I had to be really quick, pick up something from the current affairs. I think some elections were going on, or maybe some government subsidy, some schemes were in news. I picked that up as a topic related with management and how the business aspect of it was also impacted. So that's how they evaluated me. Like, okay, even if you had gap year, were you really doing something that you took the gap year for? And now can you justify? Now can you really prove it? And if the answer is given well enough, and if they're convinced, then they do give you a chance, which I was given.
So kind of like, what do you bring onto the table? Even if there was a gap, you must be doing something in that gap. So how can it add value to the batch? And like,
Yeah.
how did you convince them, Parul, ki you are determined to do an MBA because you were coming from a very different field? And similarly, a lot of people, Rahul, might be coming from diverse backgrounds. Like sometimes doctors or lawyers come to do an MBA. So then, how would you really justify doing an MBA? Like that switch in career?
I would say any scholar should first see what they're applying for. I researched about Vedica for 2 full days. I was on the website, on the LinkedIn profiles of the past scholars, everything. I was doing that. Okay, why did they did Vedica scholars and what did they get from it? And now when I have to say that why am I coming for Vedica, now I have to see the 4 tracks that Vedica offers: management, liberal arts, personal growth, and communication. Why do I value them? So now, even if I was preparing for civils, but before that, I was a BCom honors graduate. I was genuinely interested in commerce and making a career for myself. So management was something that I really wanted to go for. Liberal arts, since I was preparing for civils, I know that society has to be taken care of along with doing the business, along with handling the money. So that is important, and I really value it. Now, communication, I always wanted to improve my communication wherever it is. There is some scope of improvement, be it verbal, non-verbal, in any manner. And I'd really like to create content also in written form. I do like to read books. So how am I going to improve that? And personal growth. So it's not just employment, it's a gateway to my independence, to my liberty. So that will give me a chance of earning for myself. I really want to make wealth for myself. Am I capable enough? And if not, then Vedika will help me do that financial aspect, personal growth, and give me a confidence that I genuinely require from the inside. I gave all of these justifications that, okay, you are offering me these 4 tracks. I really value them because of these reasons. And that's why I want to come. And that's what they look for, the intent behind it.
Got it. There is this question as well, Parul. I think someone has framed it in a certain way, but I would like to twist it a little because I want to ask this question as well. It is that like let's say the year in which you were planning on joining Vedika, there was another option with you, which was to like let's say another year of gap, prepare for the CAT exam, and also consider other B schools that may not be available because you did not take the CAT exam. So how did you make that choice ki okay, Vedika is a fit for you, but how did you take that bet ki Vedika जाते हैं rather than like let's say appearing for the exam the next year and getting a wider pool of B schools? So in a sense, what I'm trying to ask you is how were you sure about your choice? Because बहुत सारे लोग इस समय confused होंगे कि वो कहाँ जाएं.
Yeah, so these questions, people come up with the same question to me as well when they are applying for Vedika. I always recommend them to do an ROI for themselves, like return on investment. What am I putting at stake and what will I be getting in return? In my case, I had decided after this third attempt, I'm not giving any other attempt because of my personal reasons that I don't want to be on the like on two sides. It's not justified for any of the options. अगर आप यहाँ पे भी busy हैं, इधर भी busy हैं, लोग आते हैं वेदिका में भी, and they keep preparing for some other exams also. It can be, people can do that, but it's very, I would say, a very challenging option to go for. कि आप वेदिका में एक तो मैनेजमेंट करिकुलम अपने आप में बहुत डिमांडिंग होता है, और ऊपर से अगर कोई सिविल सर्विसेज की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, किसी और एग्जाम की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, 12 आवर्स पढ़ाई करना, मैं निकली हूँ उससे, तो वो बहुत टफ होता है. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू हैव टू मेक अ चॉइस कि आपको किस साइड होना है. बी एट वन साइड एंड देन गिव योर 100% to it. Then apart from that, in terms of ROI, in terms of investment that I'm putting in, the time investment, what age am I, where do I want to see myself in next 2 years, 3 years, and do I really have that time to build up on that journey or path. I would have gone for some international courses also, but then it would have required even more, a lot of investment in terms of money, effort, time, everything. So Vedika was a safer option for me, coming from uh, India only, and I was aware that okay, I can manage management and civil services, liberal arts, everything I can manage here, or maybe Vedika can give me a value addition. And other things, I mean, people, when you said baggages, they might have some difficult times in their past also. So do they want that kind of a sisterhood that really can make them blossom from inside, that Vedika offers? These kinds of, I think, personality transformation, if you're looking for, come to Vedika and not to any other options that you might be having. So these are the things that every scholar should be doing for themselves and then make a call.
Got it. Perfect. I also want to ask this question to you, Rahul, because this has been asked in the chat box, and this is something that I really love about Vedika कि यहाँ पे बहुत transparency है. So it's not like कि मैं कुछ नहीं पूछ सकती if it's being asked in the chat. In fact, I would love to ask it so that किसी को भी question है तो वो resolve हो जाए, है ना? So a lot of people have mentioned, like not a lot, but some people have mentioned कि AICTE approved ना होने के कारण will they face some issues in, let's say, corporate, या फिर कि AICTE approved क्यों नहीं है Vedica Scholars, because when they Google they find this कि UGC approved नहीं है. So then can the students who are going to be joining this be assured कि companies में कोई problem नहीं आएगी या वो सब चीजें? You must be getting these questions as well
Yeah,
during
yeah.
admissions.
Used to this question. So to begin with, AICT route क्यों नहीं लिया? It's because of the kind of curriculum we wanted to deliver. We knew this to get more women into the workforce, to get them to build sustainable careers. We need to teach them something different from the current PGDM MBA model. That's why we didn't go the AICT route. But first year I would have not known how to answer this question. But we now have 8 batches that have graduated. Very successful careers have been built by our alums. And some students ask this कि पहली job वेदिका से मिल जाएगी, उसके बाद जो होगी when they apply to other companies, what will happen then? So there is enough and more awareness in corporate around Vedica. So in fact, each year we onboard 100 shadow mentors. These are women in senior positions in companies. We have program mentors from all across industry associated with Vedica. We have recruiters coming each year, and companies like Nestle, KPMG, Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, all of them are recruiting. And in fact, our alums have now moved to companies like McKinsey, JP Morgan Chase, PayPal, global companies. So there's enough and more awareness in the industry among recruiters about Vedica. Moreover, once you shift your job, after you do your first job, you shift, they will care more about what you've done in your previous job than कि आपने 18 month का program कराया या 2 years का. That's one point. Third is that I feel like it can be an advantage in a world where there are thousands of MBA grads every year with the same kind of CV, same curriculum that they've gone through. Going to a recruiter and saying that I've studied personal growth, liberal arts along with management. We've been taught by practitioners. People partner at McKinsey has taught me strategy. So things like those really stand out in your CV. So I feel like it is more of an advantage to be going through something unconventional like this. And the degree part, the AICT part doesn't matter. I think the kind of weight our scholars bring to a workplace in terms of their communication, in terms of their depth of understanding of business concepts, I think it really surpasses everything else. And I think we have a good record to show now with 500 plus alums doing incredible in the industry.
Thank you so much for this clarification, Rahul, because I think a lot of people may not know this. Ki corporates may you're not really judged on the program you did, but instead on the skills that you gained in your previous job, or even in the program. If you can help us understand, because I think I even don't know the answer to this, कि
Hmm.
AICTE approve क्यों नहीं करवा सकते थे? Like, are there any conditions कि ये होगा तभी आप AICTE approved करवा सकते हो?
So there are a lot of requisites to it, and one is the curriculum that is prescribed by AICT has to be taught. That's one major thing. Also, one of the exciting, this brings me to another exciting part about Vedica, the visiting faculty model that we have. Very similar to what ISV did. So we have a lot of practitioners teaching at Vedica. That wouldn't have been possible if we had a full-time faculty model. So AICT also requires you to have certain full-time faculty in the college. But we are here, we've recruited some faculty who would not leave their corporate jobs to really teach at a college. But you know, the likes of Pranab Sen, who's the first chief statistician of India, he's teaching economics at Vedica. Maybe Parul can talk about him. So like I mentioned, that somebody who was a partner at McKinsey teaches a course on project manager series. Similarly for strategy courses, so a lot of practitioners who are visiting faculty are teaching courses at Vedica. Another reason why it doesn't meet the AICT requisite. And there's also a, it's a long list of criteria. We hope to be accredited in the future if there's some changes in the way they look at accrediting institutes. But right now we are happy with what you're doing, and it's working. It's working for us, it's working for students. So we don't feel the need to do
So
anything
it's
more with
saying
that.
that the students can be rest assured that it's not really going to impact their placements or their future career aspirations as well. And Parul, maybe you can
Not,
like,
hmm.
sure, go ahead, Rahul.
Not at all. I mean, in fact, one thing that I tell all the students who are applying to Vedica, feel free to go on LinkedIn and talk to our alums, because they've been out in the industry for 6, 7 years now, and they
Correct.
have a wealth of experience. So talking to them about how industry works, how did they crack the kind of jobs that they're in, I think will really give them a lot of direction into how to really get to those careers. That's what
Got it.
I would say.
And Parul, maybe you can explain this further. Like you're currently working in a corporate and you have so many alums and even batchmates currently who might be working in other organizations. Do you think there's any discrimination or questions being asked about why it is a postgraduate program or maybe not, comparable or not really accredited by AICTE, so to say? So do you think these kinds of things are asked in the industry?
I would say no. Vedika gives you the first stepping stone to your career. You set out into the workforce and the corporate world, and then it's just your skills and how you play and navigate your career. So even here, the company that I'm working in, everyone from IIMs, INSEAD, Symbiosis, Manipal University, every other candidate we have, the new joinees also come from a diverse background. And me being a Vedica scholar, also share the same table, and also we are recruited for the same designation profile, and everything is same. Now here, how we approach the things in my own company, or let's say in any company, the kind of networks I make, the kind of skills I acquire on the job, that is what is evaluated, be it the promotion within the company or any other switch that you want to make. It's just then your
Got it.
thing that you have to do.
Got it. Rahul, there's another question for you, which is can you elaborate why this program offers a certificate and not a diploma in management?
So again, same reasons. There are certain connotations to offering a diploma, which we didn't meet. So that is why we are a certificate management program. But think of it as a full-time master's program. It's not a, when you think certificate, you think smaller, shorter courses, but it is a full-time master. It is considered as a full-time master's program. Just that it is 18 months and not 2 years.
That I can also vouch for, given that when I visited your campus, I saw women running around as if they were late to the class. So I could relate very well, that it happens at
Hmm.
every single management institute. There's no exception. So for sure. Also, there are some questions about loan facility. So Parul, could you share your experience as to did you take an education loan, and did your batchmates generally take this option?
Personally, in my case, I didn't take any loan, and also I didn't take up any scholarship because by the time I got admitted, all the scholarships were done. But many of my other scholars, other batchmates, they took up loan, and Vedica has tie-ups with some banks that they can go for. Yeah, they took up loans also, and a lot of I think I'm not sure about the percentage, but the scholarships were also offered to a lot of scholars based on their merit. I think Rahul can clarify it more.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Rahul.
So there's, of course, we have loan partners, we have IDFC, we have Yes Bank, ICICI, all these are partnered with us. And we have also made the payment of the fees in a staggered manner so that people can afford and pay according to their flexibility, right? So we have collateral free loans that are being offered to Vedica scholars. Once somebody gets an offer, we'll give them a POC from the bank and they can reach out to them. And it's a fairly easy process. With respect to scholarships, about 30 to 40% of our batch receives scholarship of some form. We offer scholarships on need and merit basis, but most of the scholarships are given on need basis. Women who are from underserved backgrounds and cannot pay the fee, so we try and support them with a scholarship. There's a separate scholarship process that students can go through where we interview them, assess their family background, and ask them to submit an SOP. So there's a whole different process for it. Once you get selected for the program and you join the program, then you can go through that process. So there is option of scholarships. There is, of course, merit-based scholarships as well. And the criteria is out there on our website. If you go on the scholarship tab, you can read through that. There's one more scholarship that has just been launched. I thought I'll just mention it. If It is a full scholarship for anyone who is from an underserved background from Bihar. This scholarship was recently launched by Pramath Sinha. We have posted a video about it. So it's a full scholarship for somebody from an underserved background from Bihar. The details on our website in case anyone fills that eligibility.
Oh, okay. So it's like completely free, the entire
Completely
program.
sponsored,
That's amazing. That's
admission.
amazing. There's a
Uh,
question about the batch size. Parul, how many students were there in your batch, if you remember?
In my batch, there were 117 scholars, but the next batch size increased to about 135. And now the 10th batch, I think Rahul would be able to clarify. But yeah, the ambitions are
we
high.
try we try to keep a batch size between 120 and 130. We do not want to become a program where we have large batch sizes of 300, 360. We want to keep this kind of faculty student ratio at the moment. And between these 120, 130 students also, we have two sections. So essentially in a section, there are 55 to 60 students, which makes sure that the learning process isn't hampered. And for 10th batch as well, we're looking at a batch size of somewhere between 120 and 130.
Got it. And I think we should also talk about the elephant in the room that most B schools are trying to avoid. But I would like you guys to know कि Rahul ने specifically mention किया था while we were discussing about this live session that we would want to address the placements वाला part. While a lot of B schools,
Hmm.
Rahul would be like कि placements की बात मत कर लेना गलती से भी live session में because they would not want to talk about it. But you were the only one, like the only V school which said that we would love to clarify the year because बहुत सारे students ना इस वाले year के लिए 2024 के लिए थोड़ा डरे
Hmm.
हुए हैं because of the job market scenario. So if you can share
Hmm.
maybe the numbers, what the situation is like for the previous batches, so that they get a fair idea कि अगर वो join करेंगे and by the time they graduate, what can they really expect?
Hmm. So we at Vedica have had a very steady placement growth. There was 1 year during the pandemic when our placement numbers dropped. We still had 100% placements, but our average salaries dipped to 8 lakh that year. This was batch 2020. And post-COVID, as we all know, there was a rise in the kind of salaries we were getting. So for our seventh batch, we had an average salary of 11 lakhs. Average for freshers was 10.4, highest was 22. For our eighth batch, although our average numbers are really good, but the placements are moving slower. And it's a trend that's going everywhere
Across.
with all business schools. This year, last year, presumably there was a lot of over hiring after the pandemic. So a lot of companies have downsized and they've froze their hiring this year. So companies, especially IT companies, are recruiting in smaller numbers. So although we are moving steady, but we are sure of reaching 100% placements soon. Right now we are at about 70% placements are done, and I'm happy to share that our average salaries this year as well is 10 lakhs. So we are moving slightly slower, but we are sure that we will get everyone placed. And our median is also around 9.6 lakhs. So it shows that a good spread of salaries for our eighth batch students.
Got it. And like, I would also want to ask if the batch graduates any year, like right now or in the future, then would the B school still help them in the future, like to get placed? What I mean to ask is, would you ensure that there's 100% placement? जब तक वो place नहीं हो जाते, do you keep giving them assistance or not? Like I know that it's a very twisted question to ask कि मैं directly ही पूछ रही हूँ, but I would
No,
want
it's a
to
very good
understand.
question. It's a good question, and I know that a lot of students are
Yeah.
can have this worry. So we, in fact, work with our students even as they become alums. So we tell them that this is not just an 18-month association. Even after you graduate from this program, you become part of our alma mater, and still support alums with opportunities that we get on our hands. So with respect to any current batch, after they graduate, if they're not placed, we continue to support them. We continue to get them opportunities to interview. So that support will be there. We have a dedicated career development cell that works with every student through these 18 months and even after that. So that support will be there. And that's the advantage of being in a community of a small community of 120, 130 girls where you're working directly closely with the career development cell. And there is a sense of familiarity, like our career development cell would remember each person's name, which you can't think of in a bigger business school. So we work very closely with the students and we support them even after they graduate for their placements.
I actually like every time I talk to any Vedica scholar, na Parul, I feel like so like he's mentioning na Rahul is mentioning कि आपका एक personal connect बन जाता है. I feel like I establish a personal connect, and I'm so surprised every time I meet a Vedica scholar because they're such bold women and confident and wo. So I want to understand more about this transformation. And it might seem like when I'm talking like this कि सबको लगेगा अच्छा scripted है लिख के आए हैं, but ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग मुझे ऐसा लगता है इतने कॉन्फिडेंट हो. कई बार आई रिमेम्बर राहुल को मैंने फर्स्ट ईयर में बोला था कि मुझे इतना अच्छा लग रहा है सोच सोच के कि मेरा मन करता है मैं दोबारा से एमबीए कर लूं एक बार. तो वैसा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल वाला फीलिंग आता है. सो पारुल, कैन यू टेक अस टू योर क्लासरूम सेटिंग एंड हेल्प अस अंडरस्टैंड कि वो जर्नी में ऐसा क्या होता है दैट यू काइंड ऑफ बिकम ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड.
Okay, this can be a very emotional question because really, the way it transformed me or any other scholar during the course of 18 months, where do I start this? So as he mentioned that 120 scholars ka batch size hota hai, but they divided half and half, section A and section B. The curriculum remains the same, but it's just for better logistical purposes हमें divide कर दिया जाता है. अब now we might think कि अभी section divide हो गए हैं तो हम उसी सेक्शन में रहेंगे, बट नहीं, सेक्शन बार बार शफल होते हैं. एंड उस सेक्शन में भी वी आर डिवाइडेड इनटू स्मॉलर ग्रुप्स फॉर आवर प्रोजेक्ट्स फॉर लाइक 1 month 2 month 3 months के गैप में, एंड दोज वी कॉल पीसीसीज, दैट इज पीयर कोचिंग कम्युनिटी. सो वी आर ईच अदर्स coaches in a sense, and that group also keeps on getting shuffled by the end of this course. So by the time I end my course, I'm already a part of 6 PCCs. So in all probability I have worked with every scholar of my whole batch. Now I know कि किनका कैसा स्टाइल है वर्किंग का, कैसे नेगोशिएट करना है, किसी से काम निकलवाना कैसे है, कौन रात को काम करेंगे, कौन सुबह काम करेंगे, डेलीगेट कैसे करना है, सब. This is about the batch. I would say The personal connect with the faculty is also like very informal. We can chat with them. The way we interact with them, I remember one of the faculties, um, it was a negotiation class and he took our exam, and the exam setting was we were in our classroom hall, and he played loud rock music in the classroom, and then he gave us a full script of negotiation case which we had to study and then negotiate with the other team. All of this when the sound was so high and it was giving almost like a headache. So that's how he played with us. He pushed us to learn more, and he actually became a friend of ours. Moreover, not only the faculties, we have TAs. TAs we call teaching assistants. They are actually expert in their own subject matters. So they have done masters, PhD, MPhils, and all. And during the course of our time in Vedica, they become our most close friends, therapists, guiding lights, whatever you call them, because they know each and every one of us. They have one-on-one sessions with us. I can go up to them saying, hey, I'm facing this kind of an issue in communication. I actually saw a lot of people going to TA saying that I want to speak like that, another scholar. I want to score better in my quant exams, or like I want to prepare my resume in such a manner. Can you please help me? And then that TA becomes like a lifetime guide in tackling your dilemmas. So these are the things that keep on happening within the 18 months. And also Vedica being the residential program, so it's a requirement that you have to stay in the hostel for most of the time. So we are not only sharing our professional space or academic space, but also our personal spaces. We live with them. And that kind of experience, I would say, is out of the world, because then you really get to understand that, see, when we say that world is very small and you will come up with the same people if you do something wrong, it's not only that, but you have to tackle the life situations also with them. You come up with them, go up with them. I've seen people in the placement, they clap for you, they cheer for you when you get placed. But when there is some rejection in the placement season, we also share the sorrow. So that kind of connection, when it gets built, that's what we call the sisterhood that Vedica offers. So it's really close to my heart, and I'm really grateful for it.
I can see that in your voice, on your face. Like, जैसे कई बारी क्या होता है when I conduct these live sessions and sometimes I get some responses ना, they sound very like कई बार ऐसे scripted लगते हैं ना कि कुछ कोई person अपना experience बता रहा है तो that joy that's coming on your face, like nobody can really so to say act it. मतलब it's like natural आता है ना, glow आता है when you talk about something you're really really happy about. So really
Yes.
really pleased to hear your experience. Okay, guys. So if there is any question that you would like to ask, तो हम एक rapid fire करते हैं. So rapid fire के simple से rules होते हैं that these guys might have so many questions, and whatever they are going to ask, I'm just going to throw that question and you have to answer it within a minute. So जिसके भी साथ relate करता होगा, if it's an experience based question, Parul, you can take it up. If it's an admissions related question, Rahul, you can take it up. So guys, go ahead. We are all set. Keep asking your questions and we are going to ask them. Mm, does Vedika send students to other cities for shadowing experience or internships?
Can I answer that? I'm really very passionate about it. I was sent to Chennai. It was my first official trip in every manner. So I did my shadow in Apollo Hospitals, Chennai, the headquarters. There I was living for 2 months, had really amazing experience in both the professional and personal growth terms. So yes, it sends to different cities.
Also
Perfect.
different
Okay.
countries. We have international shadow as well. Just to
Yeah.
add to that.
Oh, okay, okay, that's amazing. I didn't know that honestly. Okay. Kushi is asking, is experience required to register here?
No, freshers and work-ex students both can apply. We don't give any preferential treatment to any of them.
Got it. There's another question for me. Yash is asking, how are you? I am doing very fine. Thank you so much for asking. Okay. Does Vedika provide only PGPM or PGDM program, or is there anything else as well? An extension to this question, is there anything for men at Vedika?
Not yet, not yet. Some stage we will have something to sensitize men as well to biases. But right now we have one flagship 18-month program.
Okay. Aditi is asking how many rounds of interviews are going to be there.
So we are currently in our round 3 interview. Since it's rolling basis, we're not sure if we'll have a round 4. So if you are considering applying, then you should apply now.
Okay, and is the scholarship also dependent upon the round कि आप जितना जल्दी apply करते हो उतना जल्दी scholarship मिलती है या there's nothing like that?
So if you, yeah, that also is there. Like if we run out of scholarship funds, then we won't be able to offer. But for each round, we have dedicated scholarship amounts. So for round three, currently round two, people who've applied, now they're going through the scholarship process. So once the round three is complete, then those people will also have their scholarship process. But Parul, I remember she was one of the last few students who had applied. I remember Parul's message. We luckily had one seat left, so Parul took that up. But by the time she had applied, we ran out of scholarship funds, so she couldn't apply for scholarship.
Got it.
Yes.
There is a question being asked about number of rounds of interviews. So let's say I am a person, I am being interviewed once. Will there be another round or just one round of interview?
So if you're clear about your candidature, whether to accept or reject, you'll have just one interview. If you're doubtful, then we'll have more than one round. Sometimes in one round we are not able to assess a particular skill, say your writing skills, or something in particular. Then we'll send an assignment or do a second round of interview. So you can have up to two rounds of interviews for your admission.
Got it. Perfect. Someone is asking that I don't have anything in my resume. So how can I convince that I have what it takes? By nothing in resume, probably someone means कि कुछ ऐसा internship या courses as such. There's nothing to mention in there.
Hmm. So then it will just depend on how authentic you are and how driven you are to change that. And I would say that if you already realize that you don't have anything in your resume, I think you should start doing things that would not just for the resume, but for your own growth. So if you're going to pursue a management program, then you should probably start some base work of learning more about, start reading some newspapers, start reading, say, HT Mint, which has some basic business concepts written. You'll be able to pick up some jargon from there. So I think start doing that base work now if you're trying to get into a business school and you feel like your resume is not up there yet.
Yamini is asking about the HR opportunities. So maybe Parul, if you can share, were people in your batch hired for HR roles?
Yes, they were hired for HR roles. A lot of people had personal interest into going for the HR only. We did had some course also, and there was a lot of guidance offered by the faculties and also the alums that are already working in the HR profiles. So based on their guidance, like just HR theoretical knowledge is not enough. Now HR analytics is taking up more prominence in the
Hmm.
role profiles. So based on that, those insights, a lot of my batchmates worked on those things, gathered skills, and they applied off campus and on campus as well, and they are getting placed also in HR.
Got it. Aditi has a follow-up, which is कि जब हम फॉर्म भरेंगे तो उसके कितनी देर में इंटरव्यू हो जाएगा?
It really depends on the traffic of apps we have at that point. But you will get a communication from us within a week of filling up the form uh, to say if your application has been shortlisted. You'll get that communication in a week. Interview will depend. It can take from 1 week to 3 weeks.
Got it. Hope that answers your question, Aditi. Shivani is asking ki, is there any guarantee of 100% placement or an assurance, so to say?
So we do say that we have assured placements, which is that even if you're not able to crack an offer, we bring you more interviews to do and try and support you till you get a job.
Rahul, I remember the first year I made a video about Vedika, there was also a threshold ना कि इससे नीचे की jobs नहीं आती हैं on campus. Is it still there? And if it is, तो वो कितना number है?
So we do not allow companies below 6 lakh to recruit from Vedica. But there are cases where, some companies, I won't name the company, but there was one company which was a big brand and
Oh, I
they
know
had an
that
offer.
brand.
Yeah, they had an offer which was slightly below 6 lakhs, but the person was so excited to join the company and there were some other perks taking up that role. But typically, we do not allow companies to come to campus below 6 lakhs.
Got it. Khushi is asking, where do we apply for scholarships?
So once you first you have to go through the admission process. Once you get selected and you pay the initial deposit to join the program, then you have to just send us an email uh, saying that you want to apply for scholarships, we will share a form with you and the details that you will need to submit. If
Hmm.
for now you want to read up more about what that process will look like, you can go to our website and read. If you have any queries, you can write to me. You can write on our general info or admission ID, and our counselors will respond to that.
Got it. Guys, both these links are in the chat ka pinned wala button, and I will also they're in the description also. I'll also put them in the pinned comment. So आप apply भी वहाँ से कर सकते हो और वहाँ पे एक know about Vedica वाला भी है. तो आप उस पे जाके और कुछ पूछना चाहते हो या जानना चाहते हो तो वो भी check out कर सकते हो. Shweta is saying that I don't really have a good personality. I am lacking confidence. Should I apply or not?
More reasons for you to apply, because one of the things that we really work on is getting your confidence back and giving you a space where you can nurture yourself before you enter the workforce, so that you enter the workforce as a more confident professional. So it is a, like Parul mentioned, that it is a very supportive community. And unlike a lot of business schools where there's very harsh competition, we actually believe in collaboration and nurturing each other and celebrating each other's victories, right? So you will have a very kind space to build more confidence and make a mark for yourself in your job.
Parul, can you think of any instances from your batch wherein probably someone had a very similar journey or was a shy person and then had to transform herself before entering the corporate?
Yes, there were many. I had a lot of other scholars. Um, is my
Parul, I
network
think
stable
yes,
only?
a little patchy, I think.
It's okay. Is it better now?
Slightly.
Okay. So I was saying that yes, we did had a lot of other scholars. I think it's good. Other scholars from different backgrounds who were not so confident about their communication or the way they carry out their personality. And also, see, in a profile of 120 other women scholars, they are coming. Some are dressing up in a certain way, some are talking in a certain way, some have different kind of privileges in their life, and some may not be having those things. Now, in these kinds of scenarios, I literally saw a lot of people practicing their communication by reading newspapers, making notes of how to speak better, making content, or maybe writing something down just to improve in their communication. There were people who really pushed themselves. So people came up with the request to the careers team that please send me to a shadow or an internship where I am the only Vedica scholar and don't send any other Vedica scholar there. Why? Because they only wanted to be the lone wolf so that they handle everything. Now, when we go in some batches, 5, 6 Vedica scholars in one company doing an internship, of course, जो ज्यादा बात करते हैं, जो अच्छे से बात कर पाते हैं, उनमें कॉन्फिडेंस है, वो ज्यादा ही बोलेंगे. तो 2-3 लोग कम रह जाएंगे. तो ऐसे टाइम में कुछ स्कॉलर्स ऐसे भी हैं जो अपने आप को पुश कर रहे हैं कि नहीं, आप सिर्फ मुझे अकेले भेजना, नो मैटर व्हाट, मैं देख लूंगी, एंड यही इसी तरीके से मैं सीखूंगी. जस्ट इमेजिन द काइंड ऑफ करेज दीस पीपल हैड. So that's how I saw people really getting transformed by the end of 18 months. And trust me, the way you see them now, it's like you can't even recognize them that, okay, they entered with a personality of that sort and now they are. And it really makes me so much proud on my batchmates. Like, okay, you guys did it, and they helped me as well in the same process. So they do.
It is so surprising to hear this because coming from an IIM where there's like cutthroat competition, I can't imagine having that kind of a connection with your batchmates. Like at least जब तक हम place नहीं हो जाते हैं ना, हम तो एक दूसरे के बहुत बड़े दुश्मन type होते हैं. Even when we are helping them, it's like not that kind of a relation at all.
It happens, and being in the corporate world, business environment, placements are ऐसा होता है. But see, that's what I'm saying. If you're vulnerable in anything that you consider कि अच्छा communication अच्छी नहीं है, resume बिल्कुल खाली है, तो that means अभी थोड़ी एक वीकनेस वाली स्टेज है. नाउ जस्ट कंसिडर अ प्लांट. अगर वो वीक है, उसके साइड में आप फेंस लगा देते हैं थोड़े टाइम के लिए उसको बड़ा करने के लिए. एक बार वो स्ट्रांग हो जाता है, उसके बाद वो फेंस हटा देते हैं उसके साइड से. तो वेदिका इज दैट काइंड ऑफ फेंस. यू नीड दैट काइंड ऑफ कम्युनिटी फॉर एटलीस्ट 18 months कि ये लोग आपको सपोर्ट करेंगे. आप जैसे भी परफॉर्म करोगे, वी आर देयर टू क्लैप यू, टू चीयर फॉर यू. एंड आफ्टर दैट कॉन्फिडेंस इज गेन, नाउ यू गो एंड शाइन इन द वर्ल्ड व्हेन वी ऑल आर नाउ separated physically or geographically, but there we are. So this is very important. And I don't think there's any kind of competitive spirit in a very negative sense. No, you have to do, but you have to do it for yourself. That's why the mission, be a better version for yourself. That's it. That's what is
That's such a
required from them.
beautiful answer and such a beautiful analogy also. मतलब मजा आया सुन के and I just forgot कि rapid fire था तो मुझे 1 minute में आंसर चाहिए था but it was really amazing. There's a question about the student exchange program. Is there anything like that at Vedica?
So earlier we had a collaboration with Leicester Castle Business School where students after completing their Vedica program used to go there for 6 months and get a global MBA degree. But one of the issues with that was that students were not getting work visa by just spending their 6 months there. So we're trying to come up with new collaborations. We are in touch with some universities. So right now we do not have that exchange program, but for the next batch, for the 10th batch, most likely we will have a new collaboration based on the conversations we're having currently with some universities abroad.
Got it. Are the interviews conducted online or offline?
So if you're not from Delhi, then most likely it will be a virtual interview. But some students who are from Delhi, candidates who are from Delhi, we sometimes ask them to interview in person, but we'll ask their preference. It's not a mandatory in-person interview.
Got it. And like also want to ask this question here, Rahul, because कोई application fee नहीं है. People who might be still waiting for other exams, जैसे CMAT की notification या other let's say colleges के interviews, should they still apply if they're considering Vedika,
Yeah.
but they're not sure yet?
So yeah, if you are interested in the program, that then I feel like you should at least fill your form and go through the interview process. Like Parul mentioned that sometimes it can become a career counseling session more than an interview because we're really trying to assess what your career goals are and how does Vedika fit into those scheme of things. So it is an enriching experience, and we have very senior people who are interviewing. Sometimes they can give you advice that will hold a lot of value for you during this tough process of getting into a business school. So whether you're considering some other options, it's worthwhile to apply, go through the interview process, and have a good management school in your kitty.
Got it. Another question, and I think this will be the last question because I already 1 घंटा 7 minutes spent कर दिया. While I told you guys it will be around 45 minutes, but we can probably do another live if that's okay. Maybe
Yeah,
in
sure.
April because उससे और help होएगी. They have so many questions. But there's another question about the fee of the program. So, if you could let us know what would be the fee if hostel fee is included, or like what all sorts of fee over and above the tuition fee exist, and then scholarships का क्या scene रहता है कि at the end of the day how much can they get in terms of scholarships?
Okay. So the total fee is 15.5 lakhs, which is paid in a staggered manner. Once you get an admission offer, you have to pay the initial deposit, which is of 88,500. The rest of the fees is divided into 4 installments over a span of a year. So for our August batch, the first fee installment of around 350 will have to be paid in June. Then after every 3-4 months, you'll have to pay the next installment. That's the total fee, and this includes everything. There's no overhead charges above 15.5. This includes your residential stay as well, right? We do not have an option for students to not choose residential. It's a very important aspect of the learning process. However, in the month of May, we will be announcing some seats for day scholars, but these will be only for students who cannot stay in hostel because of some reason. It could be because of caregiving responsibilities, health issues. So we will make an announcement for day scholars on our website in the month of May. But for general candidates, we do not have the option for them to opt out of hostel. It's an important and integral part of their learning process. And Shweta, you can vouch for this. In an MBA program, your day doesn't end. Even after your classes, you have to sit and work on assignments together. So if you're not in the hostel, you'll miss out on a lot, even in terms of the learning.
Yeah, correct. Like even at IIM Ahmedabad, students who were from Ahmedabad still had to stay in the hostel. Like there was no option of being a day scholar there as well. So I think yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. They have a lot of questions, some of which we have already covered in the live session. So what we can probably do, Rahul, after this live is that we'll collate all the important pointers. Guys, we've also made a dedicated video on Vedica Scholars already. जिसमें सारे points already covered है. तो I would suggest पहले आप वो video देख लो. अगर स्टिल आपके कुछ क्वेश्चंस हैं तो आप उनको कमेंट्स में डाल देना. वी विल रिस्पॉन्ड आफ्टर सम टाइम विद इन 24 आवर्स. मैं राहुल और प्रतिभा के साथ तो इन टच में हुई, सो आई आस्क दोस क्वेश्चंस टू देम एंड दे कैन हेल्प मी विद द आंसर्स. उसके अलावा हमने एप्लीकेशन लिंक भी डाल दिया है डिस्क्रिप्शन में, पिन कमेंट में भी होगा. एंड यू आल्सो हैव their वेबसाइट लिंक. Rahul, could you suggest कि if they have any questions, how can they reach out? If let's say they have any queries, वो कहाँ पे पूछें exactly?
So you can write to us at info@vedicascholars.com. If anyone wants to redirect any questions to me, Shweta, I'll share my ID. You can share that in the description. So they can write to me directly as well. I will try and answer them. So yeah, there's that, and you can always call us. We have our admissions number on the website. You can call us. Our counselors will pick up. If you want to speak to somebody in particular, if you want to speak to me, you can always tell them that you want to connect with Rahul, and I'll be happy to answer your queries further.
Awesome. Parul, a lot of people are complimenting your journey and they are saying that they're very inspired. They're also appreciating the way you speak. So, in fact, I just wanted to convey this because they genuinely are happy that you're a part of this live session, which like doesn't happen all the time. So, it's really a pleasure having you here in this live session.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the pleasure is all mine. Everything to take this voice to the potential women that might be watching us. It's for them.
And like I personally am so grateful that you watched that video like a few years ago, and like it's a full circle. बहुत ही अच्छी feeling है, पता है? So yeah,
Yes,
it's
for a
amazing
moment,
that
I
way.
can't really believe it that it happened. But yeah, I mean, when I was preparing for this live session, this making the setup and everything, turning on my laptop, it took me back to the day when I saw your video midnight, and that was my light, a hope that okay, this might be another turning point in my life, and it proved to be. So very grateful for it.
Thank you so much. And guys, like I would say this, generally जब भी मैं चैनल पे कुछ भी वीडियो बनाती हूँ ना, जनरली से कि आप सीनियर्स को रीच आउट करो, एलम्स को रीच आउट करो लिंक्डइन पे. आई वुड जेन्युइनली सजेस्ट यू कि आप एक बार लिंक्डइन पे जाके किसी भी वेदिका स्कॉलर से बात करके देखो. यू विल फील दैट करेज, बोल्डनेस, दैट ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, उनमें आपको कॉन्फिडेंस दिखाई देगा. एंड पर्सनली जब मैंने फर्स्ट ईयर वीडियो बनाया था, I reached out to many of them without telling Rahul and Pratibha, kind of like getting to know the insights as a potential aspirant, and they were so kind and all of them spoke so highly about Vedika कि मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा था ये चीज देख के. So I would like genuinely suggest you. Generally मैं इतनी pushy नहीं होती हूँ channel पे to say something, but given that there is no application fee also, plus like Rahul mentioned that it can be a life changing thing for you to be a part of that conversation. So to every woman out there who's like not very sure about themselves and who feel like they have that drive but उनको chance नहीं मिल रहा है, I would recommend at least apply जरूर करना and then reach out to the alums to know more about the program. In fact, you can ask these guys, like they're so transparent and honest कि आपको जो पूछना है, you can ask them and they'll help you out with the same. So I think that's all from my side. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this live session. And we'll do another
Thank you
one
so much, Shweta.
very, very soon.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. See you the next time. Bye bye. Good night.